Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your English news edition brought to you by Canal Algérie. First, the headlines. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, receives the Italian President, Sergio Mattarella, who is on a two-day state visit to Algeria, accompanied by an important delegation. Three agreements in the fields of education, justice, and the safeguard of cultural heritage were signed by Algeria and Italy during a ceremony chaired by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, and his Italian counterpart. In an interview with the German weekly newspaper Der Spiegel, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, highlights the potential existing in cooperation between Algeria and Germany. Al-Jaish magazine devotes a special issue to the glorious November Revolution entitled The Internal Genius. Good evening there, you're watching Canal Algérie and I'm your host, Karim Fazakari. First, in our news, the Italian President Sergio Mattarella started on Saturday a two-day state visit to Algeria accompanied by an important delegation. The Italian President was received at the presidency by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune. After saluting the national emblem, Sergio Mattarella reviewed the detachment of the Republican Guard, who paid him the honors. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, then held one-to-one talks with his Italian counterpart, Sergio Mattarella. These talks were later extended to the delegations of both countries. Three agreements in the fields of education, justice, and the safeguard of cultural heritage were signed by Algeria and Italy during a ceremony chaired by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, and his Italian counterpart. It is an agreement for the opening of an Italian international school in Algiers, a twinning protocol between the superior schools of magistracy of Algeria and Italy, a framework agreement between the National Superior School of Cultural Heritage, Safeguarding and Restoration and the Central Institute of Restoration of Rome.
مراسم التوقيع على الاتفاقيات بين الجمهورية الجزائرية الديمقراطية الشعبية والجمهورية الإيطالية. اتفاق يتعلق بافتتاح مدرسة دولية إيطالية بالجزائر. عن الجانب الجزائري السيد رمضان العمامرة وزير الشؤون الخارجية والجالية الوطنية بالخارج. عن الجانب الإيطالي السيد لويجي دي مايو وزير الشؤون الخارجية والتعاون الدولي. بروتوكول توأمة بين المدرسة العليا للقضاء الجزائرية والإيطالية. الموقعون عن الجانب الجزائري السيد عبد الكريم جادي المدير العام للمدرسة العليا للقضاء. عن الجانب الإيطالي السيد جورجو لاتانزي رئيس المدرسة العليا للقضاء. اتفاقية إطار بين المدرسة الوطنية العليا لحفظ الممتلكات الثقافية وترميمها تيبازا الجزائر والمعهد المركزي للترميم روما إيطاليا. الموقعون عن الجانب الجزائري الدكتور محمد شريف حمزة مدير المدرسة الوطنية العليا لحفظ الممتلكات الثقافية وترميمها. عن الجانب الإيطالي السيدة أليساندرا مارينو مديرة المعهد المركزي للترميم.
During a press briefing by the two presidents, President Abdelmajid Tebboune noted a convergence of views between Algeria and Italy on all the issues of common interest, affirming that the relations between the two countries are strong and will be consolidated in the very near future. He recalled that the economic cooperation, especially in the field of small and medium-sized enterprises, will be strengthened. For his part, the Italian President, Sergio Mattarella, recalled that the relations between Algiers and Rome are strong and strategic, highlighting Algeria's role played by Algeria in the trade agreement between the African Union and the EU.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لقد سررت باسم كل شعب الجزائري استقبال السيد الرئيس.
On behalf of all the Algerian people, I'm delighted to receive the Italian President Sergio Mattarella. On this occasion, we discussed our economic cooperations, particularly since Italy is well known for its economy, which is comprised of small and medium economic enterprises, which is the aim of Algeria as well. This makes us optimistic about the meeting between the supreme committees of the two countries so as to get real and positive field results with regard to strengthening the Algerian industry. I would like to highlight the strong friendship and relations established between Italy and Algeria. We also discussed during this conference international developments for regional issues of common interest, namely the Libyan issue. I would like to thank President Tebboune for his warm welcome. This official visit has been programmed for a year now, but was postponed due to the pandemic. The Algerian-Italian relations are solid, long-standing and strategic. We would like to work on promoting and strengthening them. We discussed economic recovery, as the President previously mentioned, which we are witnessing now following the pandemic. We would like to expand cooperation between both parties and cover other areas and sectors, as well as our cultural relations. We also discussed the relations with the European Union and indicated that Italy is encouraging to activate the European Union's role in the southern Mediterranean region, in particular to open a door to cooperation in the African continent. The document that was signed in April reflects the existence of such cooperation, which we hope will strengthen the relations with Algeria.
Algeria, Italia.
The President of the Italian Republic, Sergio Mattarella, started on Saturday a two-day state visit to Algeria at the head of an important delegation. The Italian President was welcomed on his arrival at Houari Boumediene International Airport by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune. After having greeted the high officials of the state, the President of the Council of the Nation or Upper House of Parliament, Salah Koujil, the President of the APN or Lower House of Parliament, Brahim Boughali, the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, Ayman bin Abdurrahman, Lieutenant General Saïd Chengri, Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad Minister Mtala Mamra. The two presidents reviewed a detachment of the Republican Guard and the 3 Corps of the National People's Army, who paid them the honors. The two presidents listened to the national anthem of the two countries. The two presidents greeted the national emblem . Then the two presidents greeted the delegations of both countries. The visit of the Italian president is part of the consolidation of the partnership and the strengthening of close cooperation relations between the two friend countries, as well as the opening of new perspectives in the service of interest of the two peoples. The Italian President Sergio Mattarella laid a wreath of flower at the Martyrs' Memorial, or Maqam al-Shahid. He recollected the memory of the martyrs, then observed with the delegation that accompanied him a minute of silence in memory of our valiant martyrs. In an interview with the German weekly newspaper Der Spiegel, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, highlighted the potential existing in the cooperation between Algeria and Germany in renewable energies, a potential which could allow supplying the whole European continent with solar energy. Responding to a question about his expectations for the next German government in the area of bilateral cooperation, the head of state declared everything is possible. Germany is a model for us in many aspects, referring to the sectors of cooperation. He also cited an example about the health sector. He said, "I would like us to build together a large hospital in Algiers, an establishment which covers all the specialties of medicine," stressing that Algeria would be ready to finance a large part of his project, or this project. The President, or President Tebboune, praised the quality of political relations between the two countries, saying, "Germans have always treated us with respect. They have never treated us with arrogance. We have never disagreed on foreign policy." The President of the Republic described the statement of the French President Macron on Algeria very serious. He also recalled that it should in no case distort the history of Algeria and harm its people. And at the state residence in Zeralda, the Italian President Sergio Mattarella received the President of the Council of the Nation, Salah Goudiel, who paid him a courtesy visit. The Italian President, Sergio Mattarella, also received the chairman of the Popular People's Assembly, or the lower house of Parliament, who paid him also a courtesy visit. The Foreign Affairs Minister Ramtala Mamra held talks with his Italian counterpart, Luigi Di Maio. The talks focused on the ways and means to develop bilateral relations between the two countries. Al Jaish magazine devoted a special issue to the glorious November Revolution entitled Eternal Genius. The editorial recalled the strong relationship between the National Liberation Army and the Algerian people, in addition to articles and reviews or interviews with people who experienced the National Liberation War. Mana Amari has the details.
In the month of November, The El Jaish magazine has dedicated a special issue highlighting the revolutionary spirit and sacrifices of the valiant martyrs and war veterans of the glorious National Liberation War. The title of the editorial, Eternal Genius, has been chosen in relation to the characteristics of the event, to recall the sacrifices and heroism of the glorious martyrs and war veterans who defied the odds and granted our liberating revolution its global dimension. In its editorial, El Jaish magazine insists on the strong relations binding the National Liberation Army, or NLA, to the Algerian people. This army enjoyed the confidence of the people, especially since they stood up with force in the face of the oppressive occupier, making sacrifices rarely known in history, and benefiting from the loyalty and fidelity of the people, which in turn adopted and strengthened it, thus giving one of the most expressive images of cohesion, harmony, and solidarity, until the achievement of the sacred goal of emancipation, liberation, and reconstruction of an independent Algerian state. After the recovery of national sovereignty, Algeria's enemy realized that the National People's Army is the natural extension of the National Liberation Army, which is why certain voices have been raised, aiming to shake the confidence reigning between the people and their army and break the strong bond uniting them. Finally, El Jaish magazine encourages Algerians to bear our martyrs' legacy with pride and sincerity, namely our homeland, which must be preserved, consolidated, and placed above all considerations.
The assassination by Morocco of the 3 Algerian truckers by murderous sophisticated weaponry took place in the Sahrawi territory near Bir Lahlou. The UN confirmed on Friday, bringing a scathing denial to the lies relayed by the Moroccan media on the site of the aggression to hide the responsibility of Morocco in this crime. Algeria condemns in the strongest terms the terrorist attacks perpetrated on November 2nd and 4th, 2021 against civilians and soldiers, respectively in the commune of Beni Bango, in the 3 border zone located in the Tillabéri region, and in the commune of Anzourou in western Niger near the Malian border, which caused dozens of deaths and injuries. In these painful circumstances, Algeria offers its sincere condolences to the families of victims and reiterates its full solidarity with the government and people of Niger. It expresses its firm commitment to preserving the stability of Niger and assures it its full support in the common fight against terrorism. Algeria is convinced that the government and people of Niger will be able to overcome this difficult ordeal and continue the promising work of development in which they have invested. These repeated criminal attacks, which take on the characteristics of proven crimes against humanity, are of deep concern to Algeria, which calls for a firm and effective reaction on the part of the African Union and the international community as a whole. Algeria is therefore keenly aware of these dangers and of the imperative need to face them together, and stresses the urgency of increased mobilization against this scourge, in particular by strengthening and adapting to the new threats posed by terrorism, the many instruments and the peace and security architecture that our respective countries, the regional mechanisms and our continental organizations have put in place. Moving on now, candidates of the local elections of November 27th held several meetings to display their programs and meet their electorates. At the heart of the meetings, the revision of the municipal and provisional codes. More details with Melissa Kubash.
Starting with the Secretary General of the Al Mustaqbal Front, Abdelaziz Bel'id, who pleaded in the province of Bouira for more prerogatives for the benefit of elected officials at the level of the municipalities and provinces, in order to enable them to better respond to the concerns of citizens, which will therefore guarantee the expected development of communities. As for the president of El Bina movement, Abdelkader Ben Grina, he underlined from Al-Wiyat province the need to choose the right representatives in the municipal and provincial assemblies. He also pleaded for a rational exploitation of the country's wealth in order to achieve global development. Moving on to the General Secretary of the National Liberation Front, Abul Fadl Barji, He affirmed from the province of Lagwat that his political formation aims to obtain the majority of the communal and provincial assemblies across the national territory, calling on citizens to revise the communal and provincial codes to free elected representatives from bureaucratic constraints at all levels at decision-making. For his part, the Secretary General of the Al-Karama Party, Mohammed Dawi, also called from Togout province for the necessity to revise the communal and provincial codes, noting that his political formation is counting on young people to initiate a certain development. Finally, the Secretary General of the National Democratic Rally, Tayyip Zitouni, called on from the province of Tbilisi for the granting of more extended prerogatives to the presidents of the communal people's assemblies in order to boost local development.
Investors and representatives of several ministries are meeting at the International Conference Center, CIC, to discuss investment opportunities in Algeria. Several operators, namely public, private and foreign, are invited to recruit plenary session and thematic workshops. Melissa Kubashigan.
Another way to boost Algeria's economy and promote investment, Algeria Invest Conference, was organized for 2 days for the benefit of economic operators who aim to explore the various potentialities of the Algerian market.
It's time to see the economic diversification as a real opportunity to develop partnerships in Algeria in several sectors such as agriculture, tourism in the Sahara region, as well as the energy sector.
The administrative facilitations that will be put in place by the government were discussed, in particular the best way to use them to bring an added value to the national economy.
We still have some investment laws enacted. We're just waiting for the new commercial code. During the period before 2020-2021, we proceeded to a real update, an operation that is still in process. As you know, it takes time to collect information in coherence with the market, but the ministry has made 60% of the process.
The event gathered nearly 600 participants, including private, public, as well as national and foreign ones.
We're talking about a real opportunity. We try to put forward several sectors of development in Algeria. We are one of the countries that grants multi-sectoral development approaches. Therefore, everyone needs to be mobilized to open up for investment on both national and international levels.
During the 2 days of this economic forum, many themes will be addressed through 13 plenary sessions and 15 workshops in several sectors, such as energy, industry, transport, and tourism.
Polisario Front representatives in Europe and the EU asked the German government to play its natural role at the level of the European continent to impose the respect of law and the implementation of the decisions issued by the European Justice Court regarding the illegal exploitation of Western Sahara's natural resources. And in a different matter, so as to strengthen cooperation, partnership and organizing programs to consolidate Western Sahara's case in the Spanish universities, the Sahrawi Students' Union of Saqiat or Saqiya al-Hamra and the Wadi al-Dahab organized a conference about the Sahrawi cause in the University of Madrid. The human rights violations by the occupying Moroccan forces against the Sahrawi youth and students in the occupied territories and Moroccan universities were exposed. To sports now with football. As for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers 2022, next games against respectively Djibouti, which will be held in Cairo, before receiving Burkina Faso at Mustafa Chakr Stadium. The national squad manager Jamal Belmadi announced on Saturday the 25 players that will represent the Algerian squad during these two last games. Well, that's it for me now. Good night.